Hi, welcome to NBT Roundtable. NBT stands for Next Big Thing. Here we are powering disruptors in the country, such as sitting next to me. We have startup founders from fintech, from healthcare, and somebody who is building something straight out of science fiction. If I quote our Honorable Minister Piyush Goyal in one of the startup Mahakumbh event, he had compared the Indian startup ecosystem with China startup ecosystem, and he had called out that China is doing a lot of AI based startups. There are robotics based startups. There's deep tech which is happening in China, whereas in India mostly food tech is there, the quick commerce is there, and some fancy ice creams that we are building, right? But we wanted to bring the other side of the picture. There are a lot of startups which are coming in, which are doing something amazing, incredible. We have some of those startup founders here. We'll get started. Maybe Srini, we'll start with you. Building Couple Money. Can you talk us about what Couple Money is and how did you land with that idea?
Yeah, for sure. So Couple is essentially a digital joint account that we've created purely for the young couple, right? We've seen that the way couples manage money, the way they think about money with social media as well as younger couples is very different from how it was about 20, 30 years back. But I don't think it was a grand strategy how we really landed on that idea. It was a mix of a personal problem as well as the right timing with the right insight. We as founders, as well as a lot of our friends who were around 26, 27, felt that, it is a little tricky to manage expenses with your partner. It's a little tough to sometimes save for long-term goals or even short-term travel goals with your partner. So this was like this personal story going on one side. And on the other side, because we were in tune with the startup ecosystem, we saw that neobanks had just come to India. We were really impressed by the outcomes that had happened in the LATAM, the UK markets. And we were quite bullish that it could do really well here. But what we felt is in India, a very vertical first approach, solve for a very niche market would be a good idea, because in India, any niche market is millions of people.
So you think this problem is more like a cultural problem in India or more like a behavior problem? What are you trying to solve?
I think it is a cultural change which has actually happened. We see a lot of dual income couples today versus about 30, 40 years back. People are more intentional about money. Social media is always on your feed and face about, oh, you should be saving this much, 50, 30, 20, etc. So people actually give more of a damn, right? And when it comes to couples and managing money with somebody else, tools really help. Having a shared account, having a way to budget, these things really make that cultural shift easy to actually implement as well. So that's kind of what we see.
So Manish, I'll come to you. And was reading about Avay's inception. But what I read was your co-founder Suri had said, "Macha, let's print some human organs." And usually, like when the two friends are talking, they'll talk about opening a pani puri business instead. But you picked up a human organ printing business, right?
Yeah, I will go back to 2021 when we actually incorporated the company. But uh, it goes back. So both of us, me and Suvrid, are coming from startup background. So I was running a company since 2015. It was also an additive manufacturing company, and we worked on different technologies in additive manufacturing. So we're pretty much there with respect to optics, with respect to sintering or any material science. So yeah, 21 IIT Madras, we met, and we pretty much had the tech sorted. And it was also funded and backed by the government of India. So it was easy to build the prototype since we are backed by it. But it all started during COVID, where the world realized that we do not have enough molecules or drugs in the market available. And we saw the dire situation during the COVID, right? And just to put some statistics on here, we are talking about only 3% of success rate of a drug moving from its inception, preclinical, to the human trials. And so the 97% failure is a very big problem.
Wow.
And it was a very niche sector and a lot of R&D involved into it. But we, a bunch of engineers coming together, our whole plan was even to build an organ, maybe 15, 20 years down the line, you'll require tools to develop it, right? And those tools are what we are developing. And that can be a hardware, software, or materials.
Got it. Got it. It's a very deep problem, and I wish you a lot of success, man.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bank, I'll come to you and like talk about your startup in the insurance space. And there's when I was reading about it, there's a personal loss associated why you started it. So maybe if you want to talk about that, yeah.
Yeah. So hey everyone. My name's Mayank. I am
one of the co-founders of a company called Even. Even is an attempt to solve what we think is a pretty big problem for India over the next 20, 30 years. You have healthcare costs on one hand, which are, let's say, at a certain level and going up. And on the other hand, you have the money available to pay for healthcare, which unfortunately is less than the amount of costs that you have to figure out and is certainly not growing at the same rate. So every single year, something like 5.5 crore people face medical bankruptcy because of a one-off healthcare bill. That to me is just wrong. And our kind of approach is, how do you try and solve this problem, right? If you think about it on a scale, it is very imbalanced. It's uneven, some would say. Dude, I've tried that so much. It's worked every now and then. Nice. And so you either have to find a way to create new money from somewhere, which is hard because I don't think there is a magic money tree, or you have to find a way to cut down healthcare costs. And that's kind of what the goal of Even is. How do you find ways to cut down healthcare costs in the long run? Partly that's through healthcare. Partly it is also through creating kind of maybe the business model and scaffolding of insurance around healthcare. Because an insurer will always want to find ways to cut down their costs and their claims. And so if you can combine the two, we think maybe you can play a small part in solving this really big problem. And yeah, just at the point, I think when I was about 12 or 13, unfortunately, my Tauji, who I was very, very close to, was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And yeah, that was just at the point when we're starting to have ideas about how the world works and is, outside of, what am I having for food tonight? Or what time does Simpsons start on TV? And yeah, unfortunately, over the next few years, he fought the disease, but eventually passed away. And I was very fortunate that, we could still support the wider family. But had that not been the case, I think that would have, that's, for me, that's a very real version of that statistic. And just the idea that 55 million people face that every year is just wrong. So yeah, that's what we're trying to solve with Even. We do it through partnering with insurers and selling some of their plans whilst also building the healthcare insurance. So yeah, that's the goal.
Rohit, I'll come to you. So interestingly, when I was reading about it, I think so there are 4 people who started out of IIT, and you are ideating on a table, and then this idea came in. Usually when I think of 20-year-old, I don't think fitness is the first problem that they are. Fitness is more like a midlife crisis that you're trying to solve at 35 or a similar age, right? So why did you choose fitness as a segment, and how did that idea come into picture, if you can?
Yeah, so when we started off, we had no startup experience. So it was not like we understood you find a problem, then you start solving it or something like that. It's just we wanted to start something of our own. So the way it started off was, we got out of college, started doing our day jobs at different places. But we had a group of these 4 people who wanted to do something of their own. And we kept discussing different ideas. What can we do? What can we do? What can we do? And in that discussion, basically, the idea of Aeroleap came about. And the idea was that there's a new tech called digital weights. And 2 of us, me and Amal, we had a minor in robotics as well. So we loved technology as well. So we inherently understood that this is going to be the future. We didn't know what form factor it will work in, but maybe 20-25 years down the line, you won't have physical weights. You'll have a motor, which is 10x better in every sense. The challenge there was, again, cost. There was one company in US doing something similar and was extremely expensive. They had no plans of coming to India as well. So we knew, okay, fine. The only way this is going to come to India is if we build it right now on our own. And just out of college, again, you have that random confidence here. We can do it at extremely cheap cost, right? So it was nice that we had that belief, which turned out to be wrong. But again, who cares? So we ended up thinking, we can do it something at a very cheap price, and we can make it affordable for the masses as well. So then we started working on it, spent around, and the way this worked, it's also interesting. So we were just out of college, we had no hardware experience. It was a hardware product, so nobody was going to fund us. So the way it ended up working for us is we made a list of all four of us, wrote down our salaries. So the one who had like the two people who had the least salaries, they left their job and they started working on this full time. And the two who had most, they chipped in like 70-80% of their salaries into the startup because it's a completely new technology. Took us almost a year to develop, to come to a point where we had a prototype.
Oh, wow.
So we didn't even have the product, but it was a very crude prototype that was good enough to show to an investor, yeah, we are in this, we are going to make this. It's just going to take 5 years. If you chip in money, it'll be a shorter time frame.
Wow. So how long it took you to do the first sale?
Maybe around 1.5-2 years
Oh,
after
wow.
that. So almost 2 to 3 years we took in R&D, just developing the product. And then we started selling the product.
So convincing your parents that you'll be without salary for 2 years must be tough, man.
Yeah, but it was easy because we are not asking them for money. So typically, like we didn't have, like we don't have, like we were not married and also we didn't have dependents and all.
Yeah.
So it was easier for us. It's like, okay, fine, we are not going to make a huge sum of money. We are not going to save money, but we are not even going to ask you. Like we will somehow make it work and we'll try it.
We need more people with that confidence. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Armind, coming to you, you had a fairly decent corporate career and you yourself are an athlete. You are a runner, if I'm not wrong.
Sorry?
You are a runner yourself? You run marathons and all, if I'm right. Yes, yeah. So used to. Okay,
Yeah.
that's still counts.
Speeds most other people, right?
Yes, yeah. So talk about this journey of like getting into the sport tech and building something very exciting in this space. I think we'll love to learn from your mouth, like from horse's mouth, that what exactly is this business you are building.
Okay, sure. Yeah, see, for myself and my co-founder, also brother, right? We are passionate sports person growing up in Punjab, rural. We always aspired to do something big in sports. The challenge we always faced coming from a rural background, living there was we never got access to a coach throughout we played sport as a passionate player, tried multiple sports, right? Whichever available in school or coming back. Cricket was one part, but other athletics, I was in athletics as well. But that, and then I got in cycling. I really loved cycling because I was riding every day from my village to school, which was like 10 kilometers one side.
Oh, wow.
And that built me automatically cycling muscles, right? So I thought, okay, let's get into a cycling school. So Jalandhar's sports school had cycling team. And then I was around 9th at that time. And I inquired. So admission was available. But to get into the team, right, you have to buy the personal bicycle there. And even those days, a bicycle, which was a racing bike, was right 1.5 lakh, 2 lakh. That also second hand.
Wow.
When I, curious kid, try to understand what it is. So it is, everything is imported, all big, this state of the art stuff happens outside India. So that somewhere pinched me. I never able to actually go. I know no one will put a 2 lakhs, 1.5 lakh money in a bicycle. I remember at that time, my father bought a tractor of that cost, right? So would have not been a possibility. Yeah. So with that, right, then when I started my journey, I did few other, was part of 2-3 other startups before we started Stansbeam. So we started as a aggregator of sports ground and coaches. And that's when we realized was, one, we don't have a good infrastructure itself available, right? And coaches as well. The good coaches were like super busy, can't handle kids, and most of the kids are not getting access to the coaches. And around same time, we started getting this gadgets, IoT stuff, which was there. And that's my journey. Initially, I started already this trend of smart side, right? Smart equipments. We started seeing some of that in the US. It's part smart sports equipment as well. Like there were already products for tennis, baseball, there was nothing in cricket that time. So that's where we felt there is a gap. One, good coaches are super busy, uh, and we need to empower them with technology. At that time, we were not clear what all that will be, but yeah, if we mix IoT stuff, which can capture the right information with technology, so give them some extra input so they can handle more kids. And second was like what we call Eklavya model in India, right? So how we empower individuals to learn about themselves, and they can self-train. So we build the sensor for the bat, which gives a batsman a lot of information in terms of what his technique is, and help them improve their game. So that was kind of a then starting point how we started.
Got
But
it.
then that has been, because we are into this for last 8 years, so it has been a pretty long journey.
Got it. So you said you picked cricket because there was nothing much in the cricket compared to other sports.
Yeah.
But also cricket is a large enough TAM, as we call it.
For sure.
But you did not go for the TAM in India, right? Like you started with a different country altogether, which is Australia.
Yeah.
So why did you choose Australia to start with?
Yeah. So good question. Was not by design, to be honest. Again, coming from Punjab, right? Jalandhar is the sports hub of India plus Meerut. So I had some decent net connections in the market. So we started actually first speaking to uh, a lot of our connects in the market. One, this particular product we knew was, it is not an individual product because it was a sensor on the bats. So it has to go with the bat. So we always felt in terms of market entry as our GTM, if we can bundle it with the cricket bat itself, that will be the easiest path to the market for us, and also in terms of adoption, because this was also a behavior change, getting people used to something new which never existed before. So because we were often asked the question, if Kohlis and Dhonis of the world can do without it, what you bring on the table, right? They already were what they are without
Slightly
it.
more talent, right?
So we knew we go with a already established bat manufacturer. So we started our discussions in India, and the question, good and bad for us. Good because we were the first one at that point of time started doing it. One was that leap of faith, and at a mindset as well. I think we are part of that as well. Like that, being an innovator is one part, but then as a broader ecosystem, how well they adopt to something new. So that leap of faith we didn't saw much. And then another side of problem we figured out is the cost of coaching. If you see, right, is pretty expensive in global markets compared to India. So for them, adding this thing, if it gives some advantage, they were able to see the value of this far more. And then in these discussions, because we were speaking to everyone, we got introductions with Coca-Cola, which is itself a huge pioneer brand in cricket, right? So we met a couple of times the founder there, and they show the interest, and they were willing to take a leap of faith. Right, so it was a couple of things. Take a right partner for the market, and being a huge brand give us leverage. Second, we saw uh, it's better first go globally, uh, establish there, and then we can easily then do in India, because as a mindset as well, if something is proven in global markets, is get easily adopted in India. And third was the price point as well, because in a hardware is a challenging thing versus software, because there is a minimum manufacturing cost you have to put. So as a startup, you don't have a luxury to really discount it. So you want to sell at least as a price, so you get your cost at least back.
So now I want to just cover about the early launches or the product launches. And usually the first product launch is always personal to a founder, right? Like, and I think only they know what is the right time to launch, because there's always a fine balance of launching too early or launching too late, right? I'll start with you, Manish. For you, the segment that you are in, I think you don't have a luxury to like have an imperfect launch, if I can call it. You can't launch first and then iterate and then afford to fail, right? So what has been like, how has been your first product launches? Who was your first customer? Can you talk us through that?
Sure. The good part about the industry which we are at, we get to work a lot with the academic institutes and the R&D institutes in India. So here we have this benefit of validating the product along with them. Yeah, a proper product launch is what we did last year in November in Germany at a fair called Medica. And that's where we launched one of our product along with the distributor there we got quite a lot of attention. Oh wow, make in India for the world. And all of these, we used a bit of marketing over there because we wanted to address that. Okay, fine, this is built in India because I don't know if it's a right thing or wrong thing. A lot of people have told us, oh, is this a US product? Is this a EU product? So we're pretty much clear that no, we have to send this message that it's make in India. A lot of government agencies are involved who has invested in us and supported us in terms of regulatory. Their major push is this. Their mandate is, okay, fine, wherever you go, this tagline has to be there. It's made in India for the globe. And I think we delivered that message quite well.
So, quite a good learning, Manish. I think what you mentioned about your segment being tough in terms of doing an iteration, you have to be perfect in your segment. Anyone else in this group faces similar problem or an opposite problem? Anyone wants to jump in?
So, Mayank, you mentioned this, right? Like being out of India and then in medical science and trying to approach global markets, right? What is your personal experience? How you see? I know we are now treated as a pharmacy of the world, right? So that branding adds to what you are doing in terms of making it easier. The reason I asked is like personally, in the segment we play like sports tech, and especially being tech and being out of Bangalore. I think we are riding a lot on as a brand what we have built in India and especially Bangalore startup tech hub. So when we pitch and now being a B2B business as well and speak to a lot of global clients, we don't see anyone hesitant to work with us. So I think that's the way we are riding. So is that helping you as well? Like we being a pharmacy powerhouse now?
Yeah, I would say the powerhouse we are yet to become. I mean, if we talk about vaccination, we are almost 60% there in terms of production. Our ultimate goal is that, make India as the hub of quality control, which is currently, I think it's US, right? And there is still this thing that, okay, even in US, whenever they see an Indian product, they do have a second thoughts, right? Ki, okay, chalega ki nahi. That's the thing. And the substitutions are already there. There are EU products, US product. The first thing, even over that, they do discuss about prices. Okay, that's 3x more expensive, or you guys are giving it 5x cheaper. But fine, what about the quality? What about, aesthetically, I think we are still there. But still, people want to see the product has to speak more than, we pitching. So I think it's slowly we are getting there. But yeah, that's quite an exercise to do to prove yourself in an overseas market is what I believe.
Okay. But let me flip it a bit, right? If I say you are domicile not India, same product, everything same, you only.
Yeah.
And you are domicile some other country.
Yeah.
Does that flip the things for
Absolutely,
you? Make it
yes.
easier?
100%. that changes a lot of things. I mean, that's a very good question. Yeah, I mean, the make changes a lot of things. It's the perspective. The first impression completely changes. And this I have seen, whenever you say, like I was saying, a lot of people do come to me and ask, is this, now that name is pretty popular, since a very small market, people get to identify the product names. And when they come to me and say that, oh, they think we are resellers. Now that's also a mentality. They think we are resellers. Or like, who's the OEM? Is it based out of US or EU? And we have to say, oh, we are building this in Bangalore. And again, no, we don't believe it. Okay, fine, I can't help you guys. You can come down and see it. But yeah, it's pretty much there. But yeah, it's a time-taking process, but I think gradually we'll be there. I think similar to your product, I think it's the same challenge, I believe.
I think interestingly, as I said, few things worked in our way. Like in the segment we were operating sports, and especially in cricket, predominantly we are the exporter in sports equipment globally, right? Thanks to a lot of stuff being done in Jalandhar and Meerut. And tech-wise as well, we do a lot, right? And especially being Bangalore-based, and Bangalore is very familiar. So seen less kind of because we are riding on sports and tech, right? So I think didn't find that much challenging, to be honest, right?
Okay.
Maybe early part of it, and especially a lot of this has changed post-COVID. So I think I've seen a transition over last 8 years while we have been working like this.
Mayank, you have done the opposite, right? Like you have been in US and come back to Bangalore. Can you give that story and like why are you building from Bangalore?
So yeah, I grew up in the UK. I spent a little bit of time in the US, but even now I will be doing a conversation, let's say it's remote, or even I meet someone in person, they're like, yeah, so where do you live? Where do you live in London? I'm like, bro, I've lived in Indranagar for the last 5.5 years. My accent will never disappear. What's worse, even my co-founders, they're both two Italians.
Yeah.
And again, people are just very confused. They're like, who are these goons just deciding to do this here? We all live in the same building. I think the very fortunate thing was the first few people that we ended up working with were people with like really deep domain expertise in both healthcare and in insurance. So Animesh used to work at NH for 6 years. Dr. Chandrika, Dr. Benita have been like practicing physicians in this country for 20 years. And even like some of the early people who joined us 4.5 years ago are still here. And I would say for our company, when we first honestly went out to raise money, people were like, bro, what? No, right? Like no chance. And now you sometimes speak to some of those same investors and they're like, oh yeah, like you really had this first principles approach. I'm like,
Yeah.
nothing has changed, man. We are just trying to do the same thing and make it a little bit better.
Yeah.
But that's been a crazy ride.
Yeah.
The one advice that I got during YC, when you have this kind of a global play, right? Like ours is still very much, it's an Indian business. It's obviously a US company, but Indian business for the Indian market. I think one advice that I'd heard for a lot of SaaS founders was that nobody should actually know where you're based out of, right? So if for example, you're speaking to someone, like you're sitting in Bangalore, but you're speaking to someone who's, say, in the Bay Area, and they say, you know what, can we meet for a coffee at like Mission Dolores Park in like SF? You just say, yeah, I'll be there in 2 days. They don't know that, okay, you're going to fly down and you're not from there. So you're always like, a flight away. We tried doing that as well with like Mumbai and like partners in Delhi, that you want to meet up, you can meet up anywhere. I'll just kind of show up there. So there's some merit there in people not even really knowing that you're an India-based kind of business, but you're just accessible wherever you need to be, really.
So I also want to bring a very important problem. I think you folks have touched upon it. So let's say if I'm starting out tomorrow, a new startup, right? I want to find a co-founder. Should I find it in my family? Should I go to my friends? Or should I go completely multinational here? And we know the reference here. So maybe Arminda, we'll start with you. You have co-founded with your brother. How is it to like start out with your brother, and how do you manage your personal conflicts and the business conflicts?
So technically we have all of them.
Yes.
So we have family, we have friends, we have
They all have very varied
yeah.
stories.
Yeah. Nice. So now I want to bring the personal angle to it. So Arminda.
Yeah, I think so for us, one is like what you look at a co-founder, right? So few things are like really upstream. If those are not right, you look for specific skills that will work out, right?
Yeah.
So I think the number one most important I have seen is the trust. And trust needs to stay even if something goes wrong and you make mistake between founders, and we normally do, right? So I think the number one upstream is the people who you can trust, and in turn they can trust on you. So I think this is the number one. And being a brother, grown up together, and in our case we went to the same school, we went to the same engineering, we have the same group of friends, right? And then we started together after our job. So yeah, we felt ourselves aligned. You want someone who is kind of hooked up to the hip, they call, right? Like hard to attach, right? Because detach when things go wrong, right? You still want to be together, and startup things, shit can happen and things can go wrong. So you need someone.
So you mentioned brother and trust, right?
Yeah.
I would never trust my brother knowing them. How do you build or grow that trust?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So I think that's another journey, right? You have to do.
How do you manage that?
Who is what and who is responsible for what, right? And then doesn't matter who is saying what. Working together, you start balancing out the stuff, and then always can't be a perfect arrangement. So
Correct, yeah.
right. So
you started out with your brother, but mostly the founders end up becoming a sibling, right? Like Lisa works in there.
Yeah, you end up spending a lot of time.
Yeah.
Together, yeah.
But coming to you, Mayank, right? I think you mentioned that you have 2 Italian founders. Like, did you go shopping around and saying, I don't want Indian founders?
No, man. So one of my co-founders, I had done a previous startup that sadly crashed and burned. So she was my co-founder in that. We had lived together for a bunch of years in the startup. We were still friends somehow. And the other co-founder was her best friend from when she was 9.
Mm.
And I think especially when you get to like maybe late 20s or early 30s, you hopefully have had some semblance of like a career, right? And at that point, you can ask someone, hey, who's the absolute best person you've ever worked with? And for me, it was these 2 people and I was like, hey guys, please, are we up for doing it? Convince them. And I think that has made everything a lot easier because coming in with these 2 are just fundamentally better than me. I just know that in so many areas. And so when I disagree with them, I might disagree with like every fiber of my being and think this is wrong. And then we just do it anyway. And, often they end up being right. So I think that's been really important for me. You just have to trust not just their integrity and their goal, but it's a lot easier if you just know someone's better than you. It makes the conversation a lot shorter. It's like, okay, fine. I hate you, but okay.
Yeah.
And I think going through that, because like for me, it was the opposite, right? Which is I met my co-founder at Entrepreneur First. So we were basically strangers till a few months before we started the company. And I think what really helped was, like, as Mayank said as well, that in the early days when you go through, getting punched in the face multiple times, right? And you see how the co-founder reacts to it and that you're both, still equally, convinced to just go on and, taking it really the same way. It's not that, he has to take it well. It's, we still have the same attitude and the same conviction. And I think just going through hard times early on make you, trust each other a lot more, especially when you don't know the person. So like now my co-founder, Kushagra, is like a brother, right? But we didn't know each other about 4 years back. So, I feel that is really important in the early days. Now, of course, building a business for 3 years, you've gone through enough shit, right? So now it's fine. But that early on makes sense, because if the early days are actually very easy, you still don't know the person really well, right? But if it's really bad, which it was for us, or really difficult, then you really get to know the person, especially if you don't know them like through college or through your parents or things like that. The thing that actually I would probably add is we always think about like co-founders, but the people, like the company that I work at even is entirely built by the hundreds of people that have been there for the last few years. And those people are the ones running the company, and you spend just as much time, if not more, because I think as we're getting bigger, suddenly the co-founder distinction of having different areas, maybe at the start, you were all doing everything. Now it's like, hey, I might not see Ale, my co-founder, till like 11 when we get home, because we've been doing different things. And I think the people that the first 10, like we're fortunate that most of those people are still with us and still running the show. And I'd say like that's just as important, if not more so, than the co-founder stuff.
Yeah. So, man, coming to you, I know that I was reading that you have a radically transparent policy around everyone's pay and equity.
Really?
So, I think everything is available on the website. And what inspired you to do that? Yeah.
So this, I think, has probably been like both one of the best and worst things that we did. So right now, if you go to our careers page, you'll be able to see all the slabs that we have. You get to see the equity associated. You see the trade-off. And the rationale here was we just don't want to negotiate. And I think when you make an offer to someone, you always say, hey guys, this is our best offer. And then they come back and they say no, and you make them a better offer. And I don't want the first interaction I ever have with someone to be a lie. Right? Because that means I lied the first time. So we've always said this is our first and best offer. And then we don't really negotiate after that. That was the naive, idealistic view that when we first started the company. For the first 25 people, I don't think it's common to not negotiate, especially in India, right?
Yeah.
And people thought we were joking. And we did that and we'd explain it. They'd be like, yeah, but no, I'm not dealing with that. But we managed to convince them, the first 25, 30 people. Now we are at around 600, 650.
Oh, wow.
And it's actually gotten easier.
Hmm.
I 100% thought this would completely break down. But actually, it's a lot easier to say to the 601st person, being like, hey, by the way, this is the best we can do. And they say, no, I want a little bit better. And you say, but, I'm really sorry. There are 600 people that have agreed to this and we're not changing it overnight. I think it's been great. Some of it you have to adapt, right? So we do, let's say, equity and cash together. I think over time you realize that you want to allow people to trade off between the two a little bit, right? But fundamentally, the slabs have stayed the same. This is something that myself and there are 3 co-founders. 2 of us feel really strongly about this. The third one thinks that we are morons that are wasting our time doing this shit and just find a way to get it done. But yeah, I think we've gotten through the messy middle where we could have easily dropped it, but it's something I think has really helped us a lot. And it makes negotiation a lot easier.
But did you knew that someone has already done this?
I think large companies do this all the time and it works really well. Like, for example, JP Morgan, hypothetical example. They have fixed slabs for each position. Now, it's a range, but you know that this is the max you're going to get, and there are variables that you know about as well. It's your experience, where you come from, maybe your college. So I think this works really. This works at scale, especially if 600 employees. Then it's the easiest one is actually you want to get to a no. I would say as we've gotten past a certain point, in a lot of conversations, right? Whether it's partners or vendors or team, potential people you want to hire. Just if someone is not a fit for the way that you want to do things, just learn that, move on, get over it. And if someone you speak to someone and say, hey, by the way, this is how we operate. These are kind of every single person that we hire, especially in product tech design, we ask them to do a task. Now at a junior level, you're testing for competence. At a senior level, they're like, bro, I last did a task 7 years ago. Who do you think you are? And right now we still say everyone is an IC. And so someone who's not willing to do a task. So that's why we ended up doing twice a year. You can, let's say there's 10 levels, right? And the expectation that most people would have is they go up a level a year. If you smash it, you can go up 2 levels in a year. You can go up a level every 6 months. And honestly, we had some very naive, idealistic ideas maybe 4 years ago. And over time we've adapted. So when we hire someone, sometimes we say to them, we give them examples of, hey, we're asking you to come in at this level, but actually this other guy that you'll be working with has gone up 2 levels in the last 6 months. Now you have to be pretty remarkable to show why you can do that. But yeah, it's we're trying to framework things because otherwise just the chaos. Having a default is important, right? I mean, I think people don't feel disincentivized if they can't jump 5x their salary per year. I think they get it. It's fair enough. And they know that the reason they've chosen to work at an early stage startup is that there could be exponential growth and then I will grow as well. So as Mayank said that, you have 2 appraisal cycles per year, but if you do really well, if the company does well and your position in the company is, you're responsible for that, then you could go up, exponentially as well. That's a good system for everybody, because as founders, even we aren't doing a 5x salary rise per year or anything, right? We're also employees who are growing with the company. So I think it's good to have that framework, a default that this is how the system works, even if it's a 6-person team or a 600.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, no, I think so. That's a great segue. And so as a founder, you have helped me. So I'm starting my own company. You have helped me in finding a co-founder. Maybe I'll get my brother on board or somebody else, right? I also have a sort of some principles to have the first set of cultures to be defined. Maybe transparent salaries. Help me understand that. How do I get over with some like a fear of failure, right? You folks would have sensed that, right? So how do you get over that? What is your advice to the a startup founder who is just starting out now? Yeah. I mean, Rohit, for example, you mentioned that for 2 years you were without salary, and I think
Yeah.
that worked well for you because you were not asking anything from your parents. But if I look at my example, my parents are going to kill me because they'll say that
great parents.
they are saying we have invested so much in you. Where's the return, right? So how do you manage that equation?
Yeah, so luckily for us, that was the case. Ki our parents were very understanding. This, like, for one of the co-founders, their parents still says ki MBA kar lo.
So that's such a nice way of saying, hey, did your parents think you were a failure?
But nee, the entire thing is worst case scenario, what you are saying, right, about failure. The worst case scenario is your startup won't work and you'll do a job somewhere. Right, typically at the end of the day. And so it's not that bad as well, right? It's basically at the end of the day, you will survive. It doesn't matter so much. But for us, if later on 10 years down the line, if we think, yeah, this was the time to do a startup and we didn't do it, that will be much worse. So that is why I don't think it's that bad. And after doing a startup, what I've understood is also ki even as a person, when I'm hiring somebody, like if a person has done a startup and failed, I don't see it in negative light, right? So it's even a positive thing for me that he has done something. He might know, and we can hire him. So you also said, right, you give them a task. Like we never look, fundamentally we never look at a resume saying कि this college में है तो hire कर लो, और ये companies में काम किया तो hire कर लो. It's more of towards how smart are you and like how well you can do the job. So like people don't care. So
open to the room. Cool. So we'll go in the next section. We'll do a quick rapid fire. Are we up for it? Yeah. So we'll do it a little differently. I have 2 options. Okay. So if you are going for the first option, you'll put your right thumb up. If you're going for the second option, you'll put a left thumb up, right? And then we'll see, and then we'll open for the counter opinions which might come in. First one is right thumb up for grow fast and break things, or grow slow and steady. Let's go. Right thumb. Okay. Oh, interesting. Yeah. So
Steady, wow.
Grow slow and steady. Yeah.
No way.
And you picked the
Optics,
Go fast and
oh wow. Okay. I thought like you would
this is the
not be.
exact other way around.
Yeah. I thought like you won't be okay with the grow fast and break things.
I think I mean a couple of ventures now and that you get to know if you are on the right path in the right market or not. If not, you're just wasting your time. So until you get that confidence, and it should be quicker. I don't think spending 4, 5 or 5+ years and just doing R&D it doesn't make sense.
Not everyone is open AI.
Yeah. I thought Avay can't afford to break things.
Yeah.
Like the fundamentals remain same.
Okay. The next one is now that we have warmed up, profitability early or market share first?
Oops. Optics.
Let's go. Yeah. Quick. Okay. Fairly divided room. So yeah, profitability early, you said. Srini.
Yeah, I think absolutely, because I think that really shows that you are serving a market that is willing to pay for your product, right? So I think early signs of profitability is always a good thing. It's not like the Facebook days where we have to burn money to build an audience, to build a network, and then we'll monetize later. I think these days, if you can tell yourself that this business has healthy unit economics, healthy EBITDA, then you can raise capital to therefore increase your market share, right? But doing it the other way around, where let's just grow and then we'll see later how to make money, that has not played out really well for a lot of people.
Yeah. Awesome.
And I think added to that is like that plays, right? If you are a huge ecosystem creation kind of a play, maybe Razorpay example, or a huge platform like we turn a Google or Insta kind of thing. So that's where, definitely your Flipkart kind of burn money, create an ecosystem. And then otherwise, I think most of us who fall is like, you can turn profitable, right? It's not like you need to continue to invest for 8-10 years to first create an ecosystem and then start monetizing. And I can tell you now, after like we turned profitable last year, right? So the way of your thinking as a founder, right, about your business, about yourself, the confidence and the way you drive things with the profitability and way you think bringing on partners and investors change dramatically, right? Once you are in position. So that gives you a lot of leg room. And then start taking the right bets. Then someone else advising you. So I think it's a nice place to be once you get there.
Okay.
So the faster you can get to profitability, really,
You become more independent.
independent. Yeah. Then you are making right decisions for the business.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Otherwise, we turn up a lot of vanity metrics trying to chase those.
Yeah. Okay. Next one is also interesting. Mayank, I would like to have your take on it. Hire Gen Z hustlers or seasoned pros. Let's go.
Can't do both, right?
No, you can't. Yeah. Oh wow. Okay, we'll do 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Yeah.
You'll make it very, very tough for us to hire going
It's
forward.
going to
I'm
keep getting
telling you.
tougher after this. Yeah. Gen Z hustlers.
Gen Z hustlers.
Yeah.
Oh, I think hard
You
for
didn't get
a.
your. No, there's no half and half.
I know.
Okay, then I think it's hard. Really, it can't be. It's not a binary answer,
true.
to be very honest.
Yeah, it can't.
If you want to
None of
build
these
a
are binary answers, by the way. Right?
Yeah.
Like, so all of these are interrange. But
It's
there can
intended
be
to
some
that.
shade of it, but this particularly with the bigger teams, it can't be binary.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I'm looking for first 5 people team, it can be binary, but like when you are a broader team, I think can't be binary.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking who's watching this. There's more Gen Z hustlers. Come at me. No, I think our biggest learning has been we've had the leader of a function, especially like a deep domain person, is the person with 20 years of experience.
Yeah.
They're the one running the show. And they're the guardrails that allows you to have a bunch of really smart young people who figure stuff out. And to some extent, that is the nature of this company.
I think it depends on whether you have figured out what you want to do or not. So if you don't know what you want to do, you're just figuring it out, you're figuring out the market, you're figuring out the product, you're figuring out the price, then hiring people who are not experienced is, I guess, better, because like people come in, they are open to
More ideas.
understanding. They're open to figuring it out, basically.
Yeah.
But if you know exactly, this works, now I just want to grow it 1000x, right? Then getting somebody who has been there, done that makes sense. Right. But if somebody is coming from a very large company and let's say you figure out, okay, fine, I'll pay your salary as well. Like I'll manage that. That doesn't matter. You still need to understand that you need to give them the capital as well to be open and like to scale things.
Yeah.
So if you don't have that, it doesn't make sense. Right. So it depends on what stage you are at, whether like which side you want to.
They
hire
expect
from.
that as well. I think
Yeah.
seasoned folks want to join a system that is proven to some extent. Right?
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not
yeah.
just risk for them.
Yeah, I can't hire a seasoned pro and then tell them ki yaar,
We're figuring it out.
I don't know anything about content, just figure something out, and your budget is maybe 1 lakh a month. You can't do that. Like ki just hold an iPhone and like record yourself.
Right.
You can't do that. So, but again, it depends on what stage you are at.
I've seen a change in the the hiring process from millennials to Gen Zs. A few of the interviews, just to quote, the first question doesn't go from the founders; it's coming from the other end, asking, "Oh, have you raised money?
Yeah.
Who are your investors?" And then, okay, if you're bootstrapped, then no, we are not interested. Come on, let's jump onto the next startup. So I think it's good in a way where they are also aware that, okay, fine, the company has money. I can stick here for maybe 1-2 years and then go. But yeah, I've seen that's a drastic change. I don't think we have done that, when
In our jobs,
in our interviews.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
One tactical thing I would actually say has ended up being very helpful for me at least is the second I think someone is yes and keen, I will spend the rest of the interview or the rest of the interview process trying to desell. Because try and get all the red flags out of the way as early as possible.
Yeah.
Because if they still join and they complain, it's so much easier, right? And if they don't, honestly, it's better to know that, because that really hurts when you hire someone and it doesn't work out. And just saying, hey, here are all the negative things. This is your XYZ reasons. I can't list them all, but I would say that's really been helpful to make sure when people do join, they really know what they're getting into.
Yeah. Another, I think for us, especially with the fresh talent, which are very unique, like being in sports tech, data analytics, very unique, few new roles, right? Or things not done anyone. So even if we bring experience, may not they will be again learning curve, right? Plus come with a baggage. So when you're trying to build people with that, the way wants to operate in new roles, I think bringing on the fresh talent, and that will be anyways Gen Z, and then training them on the way of your working, give you kind of a better, they stick long, they operate in a way, they don't have their own baggages, so they're more adapt, like mentioned, and quickly to learn. So I think that works out well. But then when you are in deep tech core solutions and at a scale you want to run, so you want, this is like, if you haven't done it, you haven't done it, right? So for a fresher developer trying to think through after production how things will go, and when 1 million transaction will run, they may not be able to think through that level until they have that 2, 3, 4 projects they have executed at the architect level, right? So it depends, right, where you want to put the people.
Interesting. Yeah. Let's go to the next one. Win the trust of your customers or win the trust of your investors?
I mean,
obvious. Come on, man.
Finally, we have the room aligned. Makes sense. Rohit, you have been on the Shark Tank, right?
Yeah.
And you got a all Shark deal almost. Yeah.
4 Shark.
4 Shark. Yeah. Can you talk about like how did your life change post Shark Tank?
It was definitely helpful. So basically, for us, we were not at a very good point of space at that. Like our company was not at such a good space. And the only option we had was to become profitable, right? So having more sales would help. So again, as I said, like each one of us co-founders take a decision on their own. So Aman decided that we need to go to Shark Tank. He put it on WhatsApp group. Okay, fine, let's go to Shark Tank. By this time we had raised money, right? We had raised bigger amount of money. So it didn't, to us, it didn't make sense to go to Shark Tank because again, they are investing in angel capacity. So they might put in small chunks.
Yeah.
But he again was leading sales. So in WhatsApp group, he put, yeah, let's go to Shark Tank. Nobody replied. He filled the first form on his own. Then after a week or something, he said, we got selected in the first form. Now we need to send a video. Nobody again replied. He's like, okay, fine, I'm making the video.
Yeah.
So 11:50, he called, yeah, we need to make a video together as founders. None of us replied. Then he made his own video on his own. And he sent the video. We got selected there. And then he's like, okay, fine, now we need to go to Mumbai for like whatever. And then suddenly we got real. It got real for us. Yeah, we are going to come on TV. So then everybody got excited. Oh, let's go. So we went there, had the shoot and everything. It went very well. And what ended up happening, what Aman was trying to achieve did end up happening, right? Our sales was at this level. When we came on Shark Tank, there was a spike. Again, the spikes generally come down. So it came down, but the level of sales was higher than the last one.
Your baseline
so that
changed.
Baseline increased.
Yeah.
Which helped a lot, right? So so that way is, yeah, like Shark Tank is a very great place. If you have the opportunity to go there, definitely go there.
Awesome.
Would be my suggestion.
Yeah. Shini, if you want to jump in. Yeah.
So I think 2 pieces of advice really for people who are either just raising their first round or who are aspiring founders is, and this is what one of our investors told us, and he's kind of sold his company for like $1 billion. So he said that you're never entitled to a round. People often think that they raise a pre-seed, it lasts them about 12 months, and then obviously when they're approaching that 12-month mark, they start raising a seed. And you do the same from your seed to your Series A. But you're not entitled to that round. You have to have done something in those 12 months that there is even interest to give you more capital because they see that you're going to grow even further. That's one. And the other thing is that, and this I saw in a video or read in a book, I'm forgetting, but you don't raise capital just for runway, because runway makes no sense if there is no lift, right? I think we've all heard that. You don't just make more runway and you're like 5-6 kilometers of just runway, right? It's runway because you're raising X million dollars, because you know that with that you can do something, or you can reach a point where now you're at a spike, or now you're profitable, or now that you've reached some tipping point where the business just dramatically looks very different.
Awesome. Okay. So thanks everyone. I think we are at the end of our NBT Roundtable. Thank you for all these ideas and sharing your stories candidly. I'm really inspired, especially seeing the diversity of ideas on this table. I hope you had a good time. We'll see you again in the next Roundtable.